Thank you. All right, so how many of you were with me last year through the session? All right, put your hands down. Of those of you who were here with me last year, how many of you enjoyed yourself last year? Ouch, that hurts. Right. Yeah, no, so we're gonna have some fun right now, and here's a reason that I'm here. Normally we do these in 2-hour sessions, 8-hour sessions, 6-hour sessions. We've got to do this in 40 minutes. So it's gonna go super fast. I'm gonna throw a lot of information at you, but I'm gonna ask you about how your band has been going so far and what we can do to take it to the end and have the best season you've ever had. But I like to test the energy in the room, and some of you remember this from last year. Those of you who were not here with me, just hear me for a second because I know you don't know me yet, but repeat after me. Say, I can do anything.
I can do anything.
But I can't do everything.
But I cannot do everything.
I can make a difference.
I can make a difference.
But I have to make a decision.
But I have to make a decision.
My voice is unique.
My voice is unique.
My influence is strong.
My influence is strong.
And in this band, I do belong.
I do belong.
But it doesn't just happen.
But it doesn't just happen.
Yeah, no. I can see it in your face. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh my God, motivational speaker. I promise you, I'm not a motivational speaker. I just want to test the energy here, and I think there's a whole nother level. Here's what I want you to do. Turn to somebody next to you and say, neighbor.
Neighbor.
Say, oh, neighbor.
Oh,
Say, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Some challenges are going to come our way. But here's one thing. No, wait, look at me. Get your finger in there. Say, here's one thing. Point at him, say, you can count on. Everything, every single day. That no matter where you go, and no matter what you do, I will always be right here, looking better than you. All right, good job. Give yourselves a hand, guys. Good stuff. All right, look. So last time I was here, we had the gentlemen here, but we also had a mix of girls. Now, because the girls are not here, I think we can have a little bit more fun and get a little bit more serious and say some things that maybe we couldn't say in front of the ladies. Yes or yes? Yes. All right, cool. So let's start with the reality of the situation of where you are right now. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think back to the very beginning of marching band season, band camp, maybe even before, and tell me. I pulled these off the internet. I don't know if these were best moments, but let's talk about some of your best moments so far this year. So real quick, just give me, what were some of the most exciting things, some of the best things the band did, and some of the things that you're really proud of? Talk to me, somebody. Yes?
Our first halftime performance this year.
Tell me about that. What happened that made it so good?
Well, I mean, after last year, it didn't go so great as far as marching band, but we had a really good performance on our first one, and that just kind of felt really good, I guess.
Fantastic. Everybody give it a hand. Give the band a hand. Thank you for that. Sure. Give me something else. What was something maybe specifically that you were proud of or excited about what happened this year so far in the band? Something positive, something good. Yes, sir.
I think Banbury was a very good experience.
Because?
Especially this band is a very young band.
Okay.
And so being able to have the competition experience without it being an official, like, getting graded, getting trophies competition.
Right.
That was very good for them.
Nice.
And I also liked how it wasn't rained out this year and we could actually march instead of just being in concert arts.
All right, give a hand for Banbury. Good job. Thank you very much. Give me one more positive thing that's happened this year so far. Here we go.
So, in my section, there's this one guy, and like, it's really obvious that music isn't his thing, but he's trying really hard, and I can tell that he's improving, and it's...
And his attitude's getting better, and he's trying, right?
Yeah.
Give it up for that student. All right, cool. So here's what I want to take away from this. There's been a lot of positive things so far that have happened. If you thought about it a little bit longer, you could probably come up with a few more things, maybe several more things, right? But let's get real here for a second. We find ourselves in one of the most difficult times in the entire band season. We lovingly refer to that as the mid-semester slump. How many of you would agree we're probably sitting in a slump a little bit? Now tell me, what happens in this mid-semester slump? I mean, at the beginning of the year in marching band season and band camp, everybody was excited, everybody's fired up, everybody's jacked up, everybody's excited to be there. What's going on now? What are some of the attitudes and look at this. These hands come up a lot very quick, so I can't wait to hear about this, and I knew this was coming. So what are some of the challenges we're facing as a result of what you're raising your hands about right now? Tell me just about some of the things that are happening.
Motivating other people in the band to keep that same energy up, because we've been playing the show since end of June now, and it's kind of dragging on. It's almost like you want to be done. Showcase just can't get here fast enough.
Right? And everybody's just pushing to the end. The energy's drained, and it's just, let's get past the finish line, right? Okay, cool. What you got?
Enthusiasm's kind of just dropping down
It's waning, right?
The freshness of the show kind of wanes.
So so the enthusiasm as the freshness wears off. Yes, sir.
Teachers are starting to land a lot more work because it's for the middle of semesters, so you have to have your mind on other things.
Yeah, man. Some more responsibilities, more leaning on you, impressing on you, right? Go for it.
Some people are not following the basic rules that were established day one.
So we had some principles and some standards and some expectations set from day one, and they're starting to unravel, right? People aren't adhered to them. Yes, what you got?
People not really understanding the importance of memorizing your music.
Yeah, not understanding the importance, even to this day. I mean, come on, how far are we into the season? What you got?
Like a lot of people, while they were good in the beginning, they're becoming more argumentative and like questioning like why we do things we do.
Yeah, that's big. Yep.
Keeping the marching and music fun like it was in the beginning, even though we've been doing it for multiple months.
Okay, cool. What you got?
The focus has been gone, and people are not practicing enough.
All right, yeah, common, and I want to set your mind even though this is a very difficult time to push through and get your peers all on board and lead them effectively. I want you to know this is not just specific to you guys. It's a common thing. For the last wow, time flies. For the last 8 years, I've traveled all over the United States, to California, to Georgia, all over, and I'm very thankful. I think this is the out of the 8 years I've been doing this, I think this is 5 years that I've done this with you guys, so I'm really appreciative to be here. But I've seen and I've heard the exact same things that you're saying. So I want to, in the short time, give you 3 things that will help you be more effective as leaders, even whenever your peers are challenging, when they're not listening, they're not respecting, they're not doing what they're supposed to. How can you set the tone and motivate them and lead them to get where they need to be? So in order to do that, let's focus on these 3 things. The first thing that we're going to talk about is connection. Everybody say connection. Connection. The second thing we're going to talk about is communication. Everybody say communication. Communication. And the third thing we're going to talk about is collaboration. Everybody talk about collaboration. All right, fantastic. So let's start right there with connection. Now, one of the things I hear time and time again is from leaders is, we get to this time of the year and I'm trying to do my best as a section leader, as a drum major, as a band captain, whatever my role is as part of the leadership team, or even someone in the section, and my best efforts are disrespected. People aren't listening to me, they aren't responding to me, they're pushing back on me, they're bullying me, or they're being very, very disrespectful. How many of you have experienced some of that this year? All right, so watch this, check this out. One of the most powerful things we can do, if you haven't done it already, think about somebody in your mind right now in your section or in another section in the band that you're trying to influence and trying to lead, that's giving you pushback or giving you a hard time, and ask yourself this question: have you taken the opportunity to connect with that individual and establish a common bond over something? Or is this somebody you don't really relate to or talk to or don't talk to or connect with at all? Because the power of simply finding something you have in common with that person can unlock a whole world of opportunity and respect. See, people follow people and respond to people that they, number one, know. Everybody say no. No. That they like, everybody say like. And number 3, say trust. People they know, like, and trust. Now, they don't have to like you to follow you, but they have to feel like they know you as a human being outside of this band, or they won't respond to you. So they have to feel like they know you, because when they do, at least they can feel like they trust you, and that builds respect. Now, they might not like you, and that's okay. How many of you would agree not everybody's going to like everybody? Put your hands out. How many of you have ever met somebody and like instantly you know that that person that you met, instantly you knew that you were actually going to be friends? How many of you met people like that? Yeah. I mean, you meet this person like, that's my person, right? That's my people. Now, okay, let me ask you this. Another question. How many of you have ever met somebody and instantly knew you were not going to be friends? Don't point. That's not nice. Don't. Yeah. No, yeah, it happens, right? Let me show you what it happens. Everybody hold up your hand. Hold up your left hand. All right, so watch, check this out. Somebody shared this with me. I want to share it with you the way they did. They broke it down very simply for me. Imagine for a second, this is going to represent your brain, okay? Now, here's what I want you to do. Take your other hand, hold it up in the air. This represents your brain on no, that's not where I'm going here. Put your hands down. That's a whole different conversation. But yeah, put your hand up here for a second. Imagine for a second that this is your brain, and your brain is divided in 3 parts. And for all you biology people, you may have learned this already, but watch this. Everybody point to the bottom of your hand. Now point to the back of your neck. That, and put your hands down. Here's what that's called. That's called the reptilian brain, or what they call sometimes in neuroscience as the lizard brain. What it's responsible for is fight, flight, or freeze. You get threatened, you get in a problem, you get in confrontation with somebody, what's going to happen is you're either going to come out fighting, you're going to run away, or you're going to freeze up because you don't know what to do. How many of you have been in one of those situations? All right? That's this part of the brain. That's what happens right here. The second part of your brain, hold up your hand, roll your thumb over. That's what's known as the emotional center of the brain. Put your hands down. It does not understand logic, reason, facts, statistics, numbers. The only thing it understands is how you feel. Okay? But whenever you made a connection with somebody and you knew instantly you were going to be friends, or you made a connection with somebody and you knew immediately you weren't going to be friends, that's exactly where it happened. It's a gut feeling. And then finally, roll your hand over like this. That's the cerebral cortex of the brain. It's this part right here. Put your hands down. Whenever you get information, or whenever you make decisions, or whenever you have information coming at you, it processes it, takes it, and makes sense of it. Here's good news and bad news. There's another part of the brain that hasn't fully formed in your brain yet. It's called the prefrontal cortex. Now don't be offended. And any teenager doesn't have this part of the brain. It's right here. Everybody point right here. Everybody point right here. Okay, I just want to see if I can make you do that. Right, so no, but this is part of the brain right here. Now, it plays a pivotal role in us being able to make decisions in the moment, and we know how it's going to turn out 5 minutes from now, 5 days from now, and 5 years from now. The sad thing is you guys don't have it yet. That's the bad news. The good news, I'm going to share some things with you right now, even though you don't have that part of your brain. By the way, that part of your brain does not form until you're 23 to 25 years old. That's why your parents, your administrators, your educators, and your leaders are so very important to guiding you because they want to make sure you make the right decisions. I'm here to give you some stuff that as you're leading your peers and it gets difficult, if you do these things, they'll work out in your favor. Would that be fair? Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So let's do this, right? So when you connect with people, what happens is, I'll give you a perfect example and tell you a story. This is my son Joshua. Everybody say hi, Joshua. Hi, Joshua. Joshua might be joining your band next year, right? He hasn't decided yet. But Joshua, I hadn't talked to this part about Joshua about the three parts of the brain. Oh, did I? Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, so this is my show, right? No, I'm just picking. All right, so check it out. So here's what happened. One day, he's trying to start a conversation with another person, a little bit older than him, right? And this person has a great brain, very intelligent, won all kind of awards. But by the nature of that person being wired the way they are, and we'll see what that looks like here in a moment. I'm gonna share some stuff with you. This person's very intellectual, and intellectual people, for the most part, tend to be very introverted and very analytical. So they don't open up, they don't say much, they think a lot. How many of you know people like that, right? They don't talk out loud, but they look and they stare, and sometimes you're in a room with them and you feel like they're judging you. How many of you ever have had that? Let me give you a little hint. They are, in fact, judging you, right? No, but anyway, so he's talking to this guy, and he just can't break through. They can't make a bond. They can't make a connection. Well, Joshua, being kind of wired like I am, loves to talk to people, right? He loves to talk to people. He loves to listen. No, he loves to talk to people, right? And so he's talking to this guy, and he just starts sharing stuff about himself. Well, he said something about liking the Foo Fighters and Nirvana. How many of you like the Foo Fighters and Nirvana? All right. Some of you don't know who it is. But Foo Fighters and Nirvana, Alternative Rock, he loves it. Well, the moment he said that, this kid opens up, and you could not shut him up. Yes or yes? All right. And it was the most amazing thing because here's what happened. Joshua connected with that person because he wasn't afraid to try to make a connection. He kept sharing stuff about himself, and eventually, boom, something in common. And when you find something in common with another human being, all of a sudden, their walls come down, and whether they didn't like you before or they didn't think they liked you, the minute you make that bond and that connection with something that's important to them, the walls go down, the connection's made. That's when people will trust you. That's when people will feel like they know you and like you, and that's when they will follow you. So how do you do that? Check this out. Let's take a look at what makes people behave the way they do. How many of you have ever wondered in your mind, what makes that person behave the way they do? How many of you had that thought? How many of you ever had this thought? What makes me behave the way I behave? How many of you would agree that you don't behave the same way at home as you do at school? All right, let's stop right there. Why is that? Because you'll get expelled. That's correct. Right? Yeah, we don't behave the same way because we have a comfort zone behavior and we have an out of our comfort zone behavior. But let's have some fun with this and talk about how we're wired and how the people around us are wired. Let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you would consider yourself to be more of an outgoing person versus a reserved person. Outgoing people, raise your hand. Here's how you know that. Watch this. Watch this. Here's the acid test for that, right? Let's say you walk into a room full of strangers. Are you the person who's going to go chat it up and meet everybody and connect with everybody and just get to know everybody? Or you're the person who's going to hold up the wall and hope nobody sees you? How many of you are the more outgoing person? By that measure. How many of you are the more reserved person? Hey, that's neither good nor bad, but keep that in your mind. If you said outgoing, that's fine. If you said reserved, that's fine. We need both of them. Now let me ask you this question. How many of you would consider yourself to be more people-oriented, and how many of you would consider yourself to be more task-oriented? Here's what I mean by that. People-oriented people love to connect with people, tell stories, have fun, be ridiculously, and just express themselves, and they have really no filter, or if they have one, they don't use it very often. How many of you feel like you're those people? All right. How many of you you're a little bit more task-oriented, which means if you walk through that band room, it's not about chatting it up with everybody before you sit down with your instrument. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to walk over, you're going to get your instrument, you're going to pull it out, you're going to go to your music stand, you're going to start looking at your music. You always have a pencil, you're marking things up, and you're starting to practice your music, and when the band director's ready to go, there you are. How many of you fit that mold? All right, so check this out. If you said that you're outgoing, and you said that you're people-oriented, that puts you in what we call a dominant category. Watch this. All right, when you saw that, how many of you had an emotional response inside, positive or negative, doesn't matter. How many felt emotional charge or emotional response? All right, put your hands down. I got startled. All right, whether it's positive or negative doesn't really matter at this point. What just happened? What we talked about? Happened right there. Did it not? Right? Check this out. If that was a negative response, I'll give you another option. This guy. Who's that? All right. And what's his show?
Cooking things. Hell's Kitchen.
Cooking things. Hell's Kitchen. Master. Okay, got it. Fantastic. So watch. Here's the thing. The outgoing people-centered people. The outgoing people-centered people fall into the different category. These are the people who are more task-oriented and outgoing. They're outgoing, but they like to get it done, right? And here's the thing about, you can think about this person or that person. Tell me real quick, how do these people behave? Not what do you think about them, not what emotion do you associate with them, but how do they behave to get the results they want? What do they do?
Angry.
They can get angry?
They push.
They push. What else do they do? Yes?
They kind of like make everyone else kind of work at their pace really quickly.
They make everybody else work at their pace. What else? What else? Tell me what you know about these people. Describe their behavior.
Orange man.
Loud.
They can be loud.
Abrasive.
They can be abrasive. All right, cool. So watch. So let's pull this all together, and I'll say they're dominant type personalities. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because how many of you know you got people like this? I'm not calling them Donald Trump. I'm not calling them Gordon Ramsay. But how many of you know you have people wired like this in your band? Put your hands down. How many of you feel like you're probably wired like this? And I'm not calling you Donald Trump or Gordon Ramsay. I'm just saying how many of you feel wired. Now watch. Check it out. Here's what you need to understand, because if you're leading these people or connecting with these people or influencing these people, here's what you need to understand so that you don't get offended or take it personally whenever they try to get you to work at their pace. You see what I'm saying? They're dominant, they're demanding, they're dictatorial, they're decisive, they're direct. How many of you know people who can be really direct? Put your hands down. Here's why we need these people in our band. They drive things forward. And when we say, here's something that needs to get done, it's as though we said, there's a target on the wall, go get it. Because they see that target, 99.9% of the time, boom, they're going to hit that target. Now, they might leave a wake of emotional destruction in their path in the process of it, and you as leaders are going to have to clean that up. Collateral damage. Collateral damage. But here's why that is. Please understand this. They're not mad at you. They're not trying to be mean to you. They're not trying to bulldoze you. You've given them a task and a goal, and they want to achieve that goal. They're very goal-oriented. We need them on our team. But that's not the only type of people. Because if you said that you were outgoing and people-centric, you might relate to one of these people. Specifically, how many of you watch Big Bang Theory? Raise your hand. Cool.
I wish I never.
You might relate to one of these people. If you're outgoing and people-centric, you fall in the category of Penny and Wallowitz. Now, I'm not saying you're Wallowitz, and I'm not saying you're a girl. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is these people are wired in a certain way. They're outgoing. They dress flashy. They want people's attention. They're the life of the party. How many of you know people that the minute they walk in the door, it's as though the whole place just lights up? How many of you know people like that? Put your hand down. How many of you know people the minute they walk in, the minute they walk out the door, the whole place lights up? All right? Yeah. All right, so watch, check this out. These people we need as part of the band because they make things fun. Somebody said earlier, how do we keep, that was you, how do we keep the freshness, the newness, the excitement of the music that we've been playing for a long time, right? These people will help you to do that. Enroll them, enlist them, and get them to be creative and have fun. If you ever sit down with a group of these people, with the Howards and the Wallowitzes of the world, the outgoing people who are people-centric, and you say, give me your best ideas. Dude, it's going to be like unicorns, rainbows, and fireworks. It's going to be like, and you're like, oh my God, that's an amazing idea. But watch. If you follow up with them the next day and say, hey, what were you saying about that great idea? They're going to be like, what are you talking about? Right? They're what I call the bright, shiny object people, right? If you ever need to lead these people to get their attention, or if they're talking in band, here's what you do. You walk around the room, you find the shiniest thing you can find, you hold it up and you start walking. It's going to be like Return of the Zombies. They'll be like, right? And that's what they're going to do, right? They're the life of the party. And if you have a party, a band party, a Christmas party, a holiday party, end of the year party, put them in charge of the party. Because if you do, you're going to have the best food, you're going to have the best music, you're going to have the best drinks, you're going to have the best decorations, you're going to have the best venue. But if you put soda, water, milk. But if you put them in charge of that party, what are you not going to have? A party. You'll have a ton of fun. They're fun people. They're the life of the party, okay? But watch this. They want to be the center of attention. They want to be praised and recognized. That's what they get off on. And listen, if you want to connect with them in that emotional way, praise and recognize them. Not in private. Never pull one of these people away, the Howards and the Wallowitzes, the Wallowitzes and the Pennies of the world. Never pull them aside and say, hey, that was an awesome job. Because here's what they're going to say. They're going to say, thank you. Can you say that again? Louder. Because what do they want? They want everybody to hear them. In fact, if I'm a band director or if I'm a section leader and we're about to have a rehearsal, let's say I'm a section leader for a second, I say, hey guys, before we do this, before we have this band rehearsal, before we do the sectional thing, I gotta let you guys know. What's your name?
Charlie.
Charlie, what do you play?
The tenor saxophone.
He plays tenor saxophone. Give me five. That's my instrument. Good. Where are my saxophone players in here? All right. Of course, right here on the front. Right. So I don't know if Charlie is actually one of these people, but if he was one of these Penny or Wallowitz, that life of the party, the outgoing person that loves praise and recognition, and I started the sectional by saying, wait, I got to tell you about Charlie. What? Charlie just tried out on tenor saxophone for All-State Band, got first chair. Everybody give him a hand. Now listen, if Charlie, if he's wired that way, and I do that, I just made a new best friend. Because whenever you're clapping for him, he's like, stop, right? Right? Because he loves to be recognized. And so it sounds a little disingenuous, and so be very sincere about it. But if you genuinely praise and recognize people that are wired that way, you connect, you bond with them, they trust you, they want to follow you, and they like you. But that's not the only type of people there are, because everybody knows, loves, or hates Sheldon Cooper. Yes or yes? Yes. All right, so Sheldon, Bazinga. So here's how Sheldon, if you said that you were more reserved, but you said that you were more task-oriented, this would be you. These are, think about Sheldon here for a second. He's very analytical, he's very exact, and if you're wrong, he's going to correct you, yes or yes? Yes. All right, but what is the two words Sheldon will start with if he's going to correct you? One starts with a T. Bazinga. No, but if he's, I hear you there. But if he's going to correct you, if you're wrong and he's going to correct you, what's a T? What's a word that starts with T that he's going to say before he corrects you? Say again? Technically. But there's another word that starts with an A. Actually, right? And now Sheldon, you and I both know Sheldon's probably a mix of that dominant type personality and what we call an analytical type personality. For all intents and purposes, though, these people can get on some of our nerves because they're so deep in their thinking. They ask tons of questions. And when you think they're done asking questions, what do? Ask more questions. And when you answer all their questions and you think they're done, what do? And then when you talk to them and you ask them a simple question, they don't just come out and say the answer. They pause, they look at you, and then they answer. You're like, oh my God, did you hear me? I mean, it's like they pause. We got to be patient with these people. We cannot hurry them. We cannot rush them. They're analyzing all the time. The reason we need them in our band is they keep the quality of our show consistent. And they're the people who said, you know, whenever we have rules in place that need to be upheld, they're the people that will keep others accountable for the standard that we've set. We need these people in our band. But if we're not wired like that, it can aggravate us to no end, right? How many of you get aggravated by people like that? I do too. I do too. All right, but that's not the end of it. You have Leonard and you have Kutapali, right? They're what we call the amiable type personalities. They're laid back, they're very easygoing, they're very non-confrontational. They don't want to be the center of attention like the Penny and the Wallowitzes of the world. They want to be behind the scenes. They want to support, but they want to be part of the team. They want everybody at all costs to get along. How many of you know people that just want people to get along? Isn't that directly opposed to those type of people? So when you pair those people up and you're seeing friction, it's because one of them wants everybody to get along, the other one wants to stir it up. You have to recognize those things, right? And when you do that, you're able to guide and direct that, and it becomes so powerful to do that. All right, cool. So here's what I want to share with you. There we go. Oh, that's not what I want to do.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Catholic band presentation night.
Nice.
All right, so watch this. How do you use this? How do you use this to be effective at leading and guiding your peers? Because here's the thing. As leaders in the band, you've been given a position of service, not of authority. If confrontation happens or something bad happens, you're to bring it. You're an extension of the staff, and you're supporting the vision. Oh, I thought Mr. Messina was out here. Of there, but you've been given a certain charge. So how do you do that effectively and serve from a service place? Let's just back up here for a second and say this. One of the best definitions I've ever heard of leadership. Because even though I was 9-time student leader, 6-time drum major, if you were to ask me, Dwayne, what is leadership? I couldn't have told you a concise answer. But one of the best ones I've ever heard, and I think it applies here to the band world, is this. Leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. And in this context, influence simply means this. Our job is to add value to the people in our band so they can have a great experience along with us. But we can't do that unless we understand what it is they already value. Let me ask you this. How many of you, one of the driving forces that keeps you in band, one of the things that's most important to you about being in the band is the specific instrument that you play. How many of you would say that is what drives your experience in band? Okay, put your hands down. It's not everybody, but it's a few people. How many of you would say it's the connection and bond with friends that you're making? Put your hands down. How many of you would say it's the bus rides to games and all right? How many of you would say it's pizza? Okay, well, good. That's good. I like it. How many of you would say it's the girls that are part of the band that? Okay. All right, put your hands down. All right. All right. How many of you would say it's the experience of being on the field and putting a show on the field?
Definitely.
All right, cool. Fantastic. So watch. Here's all I'm saying. Check this out. All I'm saying is this. Everybody has a different reason that drives them to be in band. And when you make the connection with that person and you understand what's driving them, then it becomes our role as leaders to help them get more of what they want, right? So if you can help that person enjoy the show more, or if you can help that person get better at their instrument because that's what's driving them, or if you can help that person make connection with other people, you become the catalyst for the influence, and they'll follow you because you've given them that. Now here's a couple of things that you have power over as leaders. Number one, understanding how people are wired, okay? And when you understand how you're wired and how they're wired, and when they rub you the wrong way, you have to understand it's not about you, it's about how they're wired. You adjust yourself to them and help them push through, right? Here's a couple of things that will help. How much time do I have left?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, good. I can do it in 10 minutes. One of the most powerful things that you have as a leader to influence your peers, and doing it in a way that doesn't become confrontational, but sets the right example, is your attitude. Everybody say attitude. Attitude. How many of you have seen some bad attitudes floating around lately? Put your hands down. How many of you can honestly say that whether it's you or somebody else in the band, you have seen some consistent positive attitudes maintained throughout the year? All right, cool. So watch this. All right, we can control this. Now listen, your peers. Somebody said it was a young band. Who said it was a young band? Okay, it's a young band, so you've got a lot of younger students. Now, think back to when you first got in band. If you're an upperclassman, a junior, or a senior. I don't know if you're like me, but whenever I got to this place where I was a junior or a senior, I came to the realization that, you know what? Whenever I was an 8th grader, a 9th grader, or maybe even a 10th grader, I didn't fully get it and understand the bigger scope of band. How many of you would say that's the same thing with you? At this time of year, it becomes very hard to be patient with people, yes or yes? Yes. So one of the things that we're being called to as leaders is to refresh our patience. Part of that is understanding how people are wired, and we just talked about that, and taking a deep breath. And instead of, watch this, how many of you have ever been tempted to walk up to somebody in frustration? How many of you have ever been tempted to walk up to somebody and say, "What is wrong with you?" How many of you have ever been tempted to do that? Put your hands down. Yeah, it happens, right? It happens. Now watch, check it out. Here's the power you yield as a leader, because in that moment, when you feel like walking up to somebody and saying, "What is wrong with you?" which can turn into confrontation, the power you wield is this. Take a deep breath, step back, give them the benefit of the doubt even though it doesn't look like they need it. Watch this. Walk up to them and say, "Are you okay?" Imagine that for a second. Somebody walks up to you in frustration and says, "What's wrong with you?" What's your feeling? What's your response? What are you thinking about that person?
Fine. Yes.
There's gonna be a fight soon, right? Yeah. But if somebody walks up to you with empathy, giving you the benefit of the doubt, even in a frustrating situation, and says, "Hey man, is everything cool?" Now what do you think about that person?
Pretty good.
You feel a lot better, right? Right here. It wasn't logical. You didn't put them in a fight or flight mechanism. You had this right here. How do you control that? Let me share this with you. In those heat, intense battles, take a step back, take a deep breath, remember how people are wired, and remember you have control. See, if you've studied science or psychology and you've heard of Pavlov's dog, how many of you have heard of Pavlov's dog? Ring a bell, he salivates, yes? Yep. Right? That's called condition response, right? So many people, when they're emotional, go condition response, bad attitude, yes?
See, yeah.
Here's our power as leaders. We realize that it's not condition response, it's condition choice response. So how do you take control of that choice? Here's how you do it. 1980 at UCLA, unknown college in Lower Alabama. You got it. You got it. Y'all get that on the way home. UCLA, California, right? Yeah. Unknown college, Lower Alabama. I know, I get it. All right, so watch this out. All right, so at UCLA, there was a study done. Dr. Albert Morabian wanted to understand what we trust, believe, and perceive as somebody's attitude. Now watch this. What we trust, what we believe, and what we perceive as someone's attitude, and it can happen just like this because it happens right here. Let's test this. I've been speaking now for roughly 30 minutes. Some of you have never met me before. Some of you remember from last year. But for those of you who did not see me last year, this is the first time you've ever met me. You formed an opinion of my attitude. So for those of you who this is the first time we met, I need you to raise your hand and tell me, what is your perception of my attitude? Yes?
Really energetic and kind of like enthusiastic about what you're doing.
All right, so watch this. Me, Mr. Messina, who's got more energy? You. I don't agree. I think he's got more. What you got?
Sound like you'd make a good career dealing in auction houses.
Oh, there you go. Auction houses. Somebody said annoying one time. I'll take it as the same. What else? Not you, me.
Very intellectual when it comes to how we think.
Very intellectual. Any other opinion? Yes.
Very knowledgeable. I know what you're talking about because you've done it before.
Knowledge.
A lot of times.
Okay, fantastic. So watch, check it out. You've known me for 30 minutes. You formed an opinion of my attitude. Let me ask you this. Raise your hands. Do you trust me? Put your hands down. Do you believe me? All right, some of you do, some of you don't. Some of you are like, yeah. And I know who those people are. They're the analyticals. They're the Sheldon Coopers of the world. They're like, I don't trust him. Right? But here's what's going on that makes that happen. But for whatever your attitude that you perceive about me right now is happening right here, and some of you are starting to make sense of it right there. But here's how it all breaks down, and here's where you have control. If you understand these three things, any situation you find yourself in a leader, you can prevail, and you can lead your peers in the right direction, because it's not condition response, it's condition choice response. Here's where that choice comes in. That study said this: when it comes to our attitude and what we believe and what we trust, three things prevail. What we see, or the visual, how it's being said, which we call the vocal or tone, and then the verbal, the words that are being used. For those of you who weren't with me last year and didn't see this, or if you were with me last year and we didn't talk about this, here's what I want to know. By a show of hands, when it comes down to what we trust, believe, and perceive as attitude, which one of those three, what I see, how it's being said, or the words are being used, which one of those are the most powerful? How many of you would say that what I see is the most powerful factor? Raise your hand. All right? How many of you would say it's how I say what I say? Raise your hands. How many of you would say it's the words? All right? Let's test this here for a second. How much time do I got?
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Everybody stand up right where you are. All right, everybody take your left hand, hold it up. Now I know I'm short, so get where you can see me. All right? All right, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your hand, your left hand, make the OK sign. Take the OK sign, put that OK sign on your chin. Put it 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 on your chin. Oh. All right, have a seat, have a seat, have a seat. Which one did we respond to? What you see. It was confusing, wasn't it? It was like, dude. And I had somebody one time in the back of the room. I'm going, put it on your chin. And they're like, cheek. And I said, put chin. They said, cheek. I said, put it on your chin. They said, cheek. Right? So, yeah, right? And so it's very powerful. So just as we wrap this up, realize that the study showed that 55% of what people trust, believe, and perceive as our attitude, 55% is what they see. 38% is how we say what we say. Only 7% is the words that we use. Guys, if you're having a bad day and it's not working out for you, if you will simply walk through that door, put a smile on your face, and not say a word, everybody will think you're in a good mood. And if you put that smile on your face, and you could be the person that lights up the room when you walk through the door, you set the tone for the whole band. It really comes down to the example and the attitude you set. And the tone of the band and the strength of the band as you guys compete and as you finish your year is going to come down to how you show up. Not how they show up, how you show up. And you have the power of consistency, of control, of condition, choice, response. And if you'll activate that and stay unified as a team, setting the right example every day, following the vision that you begin, this band, by your leadership, will have the best year it's ever seen, and I can't wait to hear about your success. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Mr. Messina. Have a great year.